The Tata Punch has been an absolute sales sensation since it was launched in 2021. Tata Motors has sold over 7 lakh units. It's a permanent fixture on the top 10 bestsellers list, and in 2024 it was actually India's best-selling car. But we're now in 2026. There's an updated Punch with us. It's got a new look on the outside, more features on the inside. There's the option of a new AMT gearbox for the CNG powertrain, and there's also an altogether new turbo petrol engine option. So there's lots to unpack. Let's get cracking. Before we go any further, let us know what you think of the Tata Punch. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the Autocar India channel and hit that bell icon to be notified every time we have a new video up. Let's start with the way it looks. The Tata Punch always had this chunky, shrunken SUV look about it, and Tata Motors has retained the essence of the design even with this update. Now, to talk specific details, the Punch retains the split headlamp look of the original, but the upper DRLs wear a new look, and the panel between the upper lights has been slimmed down as well. The bigger changes are lower down on the bumper. Now, the headlight units, the main units, sit in a vertical arrangement, which is a departure from the older car. LED headlights are standard, while fully loaded versions add in LED fog lamps too, with a cornering function. There's also lots of cladding to really impart that rugged appearance, and there's also a silver effect lower down on the bumper. You'll also find a camera up front, which is a new inclusion on the Punch. At the sides, the only real change is the new look for the diamond cut 16-inch alloy wheels. Tire sizes remain the same. As before, there's generous cladding. You get a contrast roof effect, which works really well with the design, and a highlight remains ground clearance, which stands at 193mm unladen. This unladen ground clearance figure is up from the original car's 187mm figure, which is a result of mild revisions to the suspension to account for the heavier turbo engine and CNG tanks. As before, the door handles for the rear doors are mounted high up, and of course you can't talk of a Punch without talking of its ability to open its doors to 90 degrees to really ease getting in and out. Quite a bit has changed at the back of the Tata Punch. So the tailgate is new, as you can tell. Lighting is also new. There's LED elements in this blacked out lighting console, as well as a full width LED light bar. Now, the thing is that while it does subscribe to the latest of design and styling trends, I do find it a bit generic. The older Punch's tri-arrow detailing was quite distinctive in its own right. Now, lower down, there's again lots of chunky cladding. You again get more of the silver stuff, and on the whole, it does give this look of a robust little thing. The Tata Punch also has a talking point on the other side of this tailgate. Featured here is the Punch CNG, and the fact that you can fit in cabin luggage in here is a win in its own right. What opens up a handy 210 liters of luggage space is the clever dual cylinder arrangement. There's even a spare tire mounted under the body on this CNG version. The standard petrol Punch boasts a sizable 319 liters of luggage room measured to the top of the rear seat. Inside too, it's familiar, but there's plenty new as well. While the basic look of the dashboard is unchanged, there are quite a few prominent updates in the cabin as well. For starters, you now get Tata's very familiar two-spoke steering wheel with the illuminated logo that lights up when you switch the car on. The steering houses toggles and buttons for the audio system, and on this side you also get a toggle to control the digital screen, which is a new inclusion on the Tata Punch. Now, it is a 7-inch screen, and it does look better than the analog dials that we formerly got in the Punch, but it's not quite the best out there. The fonts seem a bit small, and the general layout and theme is a bit old school. The screen is also the readout for the tire pressure monitor, which impressively is standard across the range. The other screen of interest is the touchscreen, which is now a 10.25-inch screen. It is slick to use and packs in wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and there's also connected tech and a lot more features packed in as well. Also new is a 360-degree camera, and you get a bird's eye view of the car, which really helps in parking spaces. But I have to say that the resolution of the cameras isn't the best. While the 360 functionality is smooth, if you really go into it, it's not as crisp a picture as you'd want it to be. Lower down on the dashboard, there's a new climate control unit. Again, something that we've seen on the newer lot of Tata. So there is a physical toggle for the temperature and blower speeds, but all other functions are on this touch panel. It's not quite the easiest to use, but you do get the hang of it. What is a very nice inclusion is an express cool function. So at the touch of one button, the car will sense if there is a need to roll down the windows for faster cooling, and will switch the air conditioning at full force. Now, while I'm talking of the climate control console, I have to bring in an irritant, and that is the fact that this console fouls with your left knee. This is a complaint that we've had on models like the Tata Harrier and Safari, and sadly, that's something we have to bring up on the Punch as well. At the base of the center console, you get a wireless charging pad. There's a 12-volt power outlet. You also get a USB Type-C port. There's another Type-C 65-watt port, so you can actually charge your laptop with it. Between the seats, you get a redesigned console that now houses two cup holders. You also get an adjustable front center armrest, which is a handy feature. There is some storage under this, but you really won't get much in here. On the plus side, the glove box is really large and also has a dedicated compartment for a tablet. The door pockets can also comfortably hold a large bottle and more. Also nice is the fact that the glove box gets cooling. In terms of other features, the Punch also packs in an auto-dimming interior rear view mirror, which is a very handy inclusion. There's connected tech as well, shortcut buttons for which are over here, and there is, of course, a sunroof as well. Now, in terms of quality, you can tell that Tata Motors has made an effort to give this dashboard a layered look. There are different textures for the top portion of the dash, this portion, the center console, which now comes finished in white. And if you look closely, there will be those tri-arrow details that you got on the earlier Punch as well. However, at the same time, there are a lot of hard plastics, but it is acceptable for this price of car. With this update, Tata Motors has also worked on the front seats, so there is an extended thigh support, and that really makes the difference for tall passengers like myself. It is in fact something that I had brought up when we had reviewed the Punch in the past. What I really like about the seats are that they are well cushioned and they're also nice and large. Just check out the shoulder support, even for someone of my height. I would have liked seatbelt height adjust, at least for the driver's seat, and what is a very big omission is load sensors for the rear seats. So if the rear seat belt isn't clipped in, the rear seat belt reminder will buzz for a minute whether the rear seat is occupied or not. It's not only irritating but could also prompt rear seat users to simply sit on a clipped seat belt, defeating its purpose altogether. It's a shame because the Punch otherwise takes safety very seriously. Moving to the back. The Tata Punch is not a very large car, and you feel as much when you're sat at the back. Now, I'm just under 6 feet tall. The front seat is set to my driving position, and I have just about adequate knee room. On the plus side, there is plenty of space under the front seats for me to tuck my feet under. Now, versions with a sunroof get this big hump on the roof, and this does take away some of the airiness of this cabin. Versions without a sunroof will feel a bit roomier on that front. Now, as for seat comfort, the backrest is a touch on the upright side, but it's not that much of a biggie. The seat base has been enhanced with a bit more thigh support, and you do experience the benefits of it on a long drive. The seat base remains flat, so 3 average-sized adults will be able to squeeze into the back. Though this is a cabin that is still best suited for 2 passengers at the back and best enjoyed with the center armrest folded down. Now, the center armrest doesn't feature cup holders. In fact, there are no cup holders dedicated to the passengers at the back, but the door pockets are nice and large, and you also get magazine holders on the front seat backs. Other features include adjustable headrests for the outboard seats. All 3 seats get 3-point seat belts, their rear air conditioning vents, as well as a charging socket for the rear seat occupants. On to the engines and gearbox options. As before, there's a 1.2-litre 3-cylinder naturally aspirated petrol engine available with manual and AMT gearbox options. There's also a CNG version of this engine that can now also be had with an AMT gearbox. And that's the version I'll drive first. With 73 horsepower in CNG mode, performance is not really anything to write home about. But then the fact that you're buying a CNG is not for performance but for efficiency. Before you ask, there's no official efficiency number out as yet, but it should be close to the Tiago CNG AMT's 28 km per kg figure. If it's A to B commuting that you're looking for in the most efficient manner possible, then you will make your peace with the way the Punch CNG delivers its power. It's easygoing, it's leisurely, and delivers its power in an unhurried manner. Adopt a gentle driving style and you'll gel very well with the Punch CNG AMT. It'll keep up with the flow of city traffic, and in fact, I've been driving it within Pune city confines for a bit of the day, and I really haven't had a problem with the performance on offer. But while performance is acceptable in average city conditions, the Punch CNG AMT is not an ideal highway car. The Punch AMT feels out of place on the highway. It just doesn't have the kind of performance that puts you at ease. Say you want to overtake a long bus, you really have to plan for it and you'll be on the back foot. The performance reflects in the numbers. In our preliminary test conducted in CNG mode, the Punch CNG AMT took a yawning 19.51 seconds to 100 kph from a standstill. In petrol mode, power rises to 88 horsepower, but it doesn't change the Punch's character. Switching between petrol and CNG modes is done at the touch of a button on the center console. But it must be said that when you're moving from CNG mode to petrol, you expect the added 15 horsepower to sort of give you a bump up in performance, but you don't really feel it. As for the gearbox, the AMT gearbox is decent. Now, if you really pay attention, you will notice a pause between first and second gear and second and third gear, but leave it to its own devices and you really won't have a problem with the way it shifts. Now, slow or not, smooth or not, the AMT gearbox still saves you the bother of modulating the clutch and manually shifting gears, which can be a real pain after a long day at the office when you're stuck in chock-a-block city traffic. While talking of the gearbox, now one of the unique inclusions on the Punch CNG AMT are paddle shifters. Now, it's something that will be sold as a USP at showrooms, but I must tell you, in the real world, it doesn't have that much application. And that's to do with the performance on offer. This is a pretty humdrum powertrain, and even the inclusion of paddle shifters do little to excite you. On a related note, when you press down hard on the accelerator pedal, say for an overtake, you will find that the gearbox is reasonably quick to respond with a downshift. In effect, you won't find yourself reaching for the gear lever or even the paddle shifters for a downshift because the gearbox does the job for you. Other aspects of the Punch stay the same as before, and that's no bad thing. The elevated seating position and a pretty large glass house gives you a good view out and puts you at immediate ease in the Punch. And what also helps its case as a city vehicle is that the controls, such as at the steering, are nice and light. What also stays intact is the tough feel to the Punch. One area that remains a highlight on the Punch is ride comfort. Sure, there is a firmness to the suspension setup that you will feel at low speeds, but those big potholes, those really monstrously bad roads that we have become unfortunately very familiar with, particularly after the monsoons, the Punch deals with them with a confidence you wouldn't associate with such a small car. The SUV-ness that the Punch wants to convey comes through in the way it tackles those roads. In fact, to drive home the point, Tata Motors even set up an obstacle course. Sure, it was a curated course, but the Punch did more than what you'd expect a small front-wheel drive car like this to. There's hill descent control too, which allows setting speed down to 10 kph. Tata Motors also claims a 400mm wading ability for the Punch, something that'll surely come handy in the rains. Back on the road, time to experience the new addition to the Punch range, the Punch Turbo. Power comes from a 1.2-litre 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine that makes a healthy 120 horsepower and 170 Newton meters. The only gearbox for the moment is a 6-speed manual. Has the turbo petrol engine given the Punch some much needed punch? In short, yes, it has. The Punch feels livelier now, there's more performance on offer, and generally the driving experience is vastly improved. Just check the difference in acceleration times. 11.56 seconds to 100 kph versus 16.1 seconds of the standard 1.2-litre petrol manual. Now, one of the big advantages of the turbo petrol engine is that it immediately makes the Punch a better highway car. Getting up to cruising speeds doesn't take much effort, nor does an overtaking, and in general it just feels more confident and better suited to highway duties thanks to the engine. That added punch from the turbo petrol engine also counts for a lot when you have to drive uphill. This engine really opens up the Punch to buyers who took to the concept of the Punch, a small, tough little car, but those who were turned off by its lack of power. Mind you, the Punch with the turbo petrol engine hasn't become a sporty car. A Citroen C3 with the turbo engine feels better to drive still. The engine feels a bit relaxed under 1800 RPM or so, and then on there is this step up in power. Then also, the added power doesn't come as a burst as you get on, say, a Volkswagen Group 1-litre TSI engine. Rather, what you get is a friendly and very progressive and linear build of power. You can drive the Punch Turbo Petrol with enthusiasm, and it will reward hard driving as well. But when you do that, you will find that the gearbox tends to feel a bit notchy during quick shifts. Also, I'm not quite satisfied with the clutch modulation. It feels a bit springy. Of the other things, you can hear the engine at work, and there is a bit of gruffness that you can't escape. Hard driving also hurts efficiency. In fact, we noted the MID seems programmed to not show a figure below 8 kpl. Purely from a performance point of view though, the added power counts for a lot. What this engine does is it adds to the Punch's clean handling and tough build and robust ride, and sort of completes the package. The original Tata Punch started life with a bang and a 5-star global NCAP rating, and it's a similar story with the updated model that's a 5-star Bharat NCAP rated vehicle. Standard safety kit includes 6 airbags, ABS, electronic stability control, hill hold assist, tire pressure monitor, ISOFIX child seat mounts, and 3-point seat belts for all seats. Higher spec versions add in rear wiper and washer, auto headlights, and rain sensing wipers. There's a blind view monitor as well that relays a feed from the side cameras when you activate the indicators. It's a good feature, but trouble is it occupies the entire display, so you can miss your turn on a junction. Prices for the Tata Punch start at 5.59 lakh rupees and go up to 10.54 lakh rupees ex-showroom for the new fully loaded CNG AMT version. What's commendable is that prices for like-to-like variants haven't gone up with this update, no doubt helped by GST 2.0 that dropped taxes on sub-4 meter cars. At the top end, pricing is comparable to lower spec versions of larger compact SUVs, Tata's own Nexon included. The sweet spot of the Punch range are the mid-spec versions that get you enough features for reasonable money. With the update, the Punch has become more wholesome. The wider range of engine and gearbox options means there's a Punch for everyone, from mileage-conscious buyers to those keen on power and performance. The new features sweeten the deal and add to the Punch's highlights of a tough build, mature ride, and fashionable style. Service satisfaction and long-term reliability remain to be seen, but as a product, the Punch sure gets a lot right. First impressions suggest the updated model will add greatly to the Punch's sales tally.